Hello and welcome to Waylander's Wandering, where today I'm going to be showing you how I painted my B1 Battledroids for Star Wars Legion from Fantasy Flight Games. As you can see, these guys are already undercoated, which I used Xandri Dust from Citadel Rattle Can. You can use any of these sort of dark sandy tan undercoats. The Colour Forge one is particularly good. It's just that I have a little bit of Xandri Dust left, so I'm using that. We'll then be doing an all-over Bosch with Citadel Colour Contrast Paint Skeleton Horde to give some shade depth and to darken down the sand colour a little bit. And then we will use a dry brush to bring back the Xandri Dust base coat somewhat. And finally, an Shabti Bone dry brush to put a slight edge highlight onto all those panels with a much lighter dry brush. Then I'll be going over the weapons and such with Citadel Colour Contrast Black Legion, and if we do the dry brushing correctly, we should be leaving a nice highlight there as well, because it will almost be a slap chop method. For any lights and dials, I will probably go for Citadel Colour Contrast, the Doomfire Magenta, for any little lights and things like we see on the chest here of the Battledroid. I don't know if that's coming up very well on the camera, but just there is a little dot where there's a lamp. As you can see, I have a test miniature here that I've already done all these stages on, and there's the little lamp so that we can see him nicely, and there we go. So let's get on with this without further ado and slap some Shabti Bone on all of these guys, though I will be painting most of these. I will only be doing one on camera because, you know, I'm fairly sure that you guys don't want to watch me doing the same thing over and over and over again. I mean, I don't even particularly want to be doing this over and over and over again, but you know, got to paint your minis, guy. Cover that grey. Let's defeat the grey. As is usual with contrast paints, what we're trying to do is get a nice all-over colour and a nice all-over saturation without it pooling too much in any particular area. And of course, contrast paints, we need to be kind of quick, because as soon as that skin, for want of a better word, forms, that's where you're not going to be playing with it anymore. If you tear that skin, it looks pretty awful, pretty awful. But I will crack on with getting all of these chaps done, and I will bring you back in at dry brush time. So there we have it, all the B1 Battledroids nicely hit with the Skeleton Horde contrast paint, just to darken them down and to get those recesses done. And I think you'll agree that the slightly darker version, let's get one that isn't done, does look a lot better than just the plain Xandri Dust. So the next stage is surprisingly going to be to take our Army Painter Masterclass large dry brush and give them a quick going over with Xandri Dust. Because of the way that I do this, and I don't have a dampening pad or anything, I'm going to make the brush tip ever so slightly damp, wick most of the moisture off onto this tissue. Again, we test it on the back of the hand, feels slightly cool, therefore it is at the right amount of liquid in there. Hitting the tip of the brush, so about that much, into our Xandri Dust. We will get most of that off onto the tissue again. Using the back of your hand, you can see how much paint is being left behind, and that seems okay to me. And then we take the miniature using a downward motion. Let's try and hit everything again with this secondary dust, but keeping it out of the recesses where we can. Obviously in some places we can't use the downward motion because there's stuff in the way. But looking now, we see that we have essentially layered it back up to Xandri dust with some nice shadow in the depths there. Okay, I won't do these on camera, I will do those in my own time, so because I don't think you really want to watch me dry brushing 8 more of these. The next stage would be to take a shabty bone, again just the tip of the brush in there, about that much, clean it off on the tissue again. This is without cleaning the original Xandri dust off, and then in a lighter, holding it further above the ferrule so we get a lighter touch, go over it again and just try and hit the edges this time to give a kind of an edge highlight. We can go with that, you know, side to side, up and down motion here, and as you will see, this successfully highlights our little B1 Battledroid as fast as you like. So there we are, all highlighted and lovely. And there we go. So I'll crack on and do the other 7 off camera, and I'll bring you guys back in when these guys are done, and we will go on to the final stage. Now that we've finished dry brushing everything, it is time to come in for the final stage, which is to take Citadel Contrast Black Legion and go over the weapons. Now if we don't put this on too thick, we should get a nice finish, and because of previous dry brushing, it'll almost work like a slap chop and leave it highlighted. Just have to be kind of careful. This is going to be probably the longest and slowest stage, because now we actually have to care about where the paint's going and make sure that we don't put, you know, big black paint on all the bits that we've just got that lovely brown. I'm being very careful. I go to brown on. Sorry, coat of brown, coat of black on. And once I've done this guy and the rest of the squad, we'll talk about a couple of finishing touches that we can do just to lift our squad from the ordinary. So nobody wants their stuff to be boring and indistinct on the battlefield. Anyway, enough waffle for me. I'll bring you guys back in as soon as I've finished all this fiddly stuff. Now that the weapons have all been blacked out on the entire squad, it's time for some last finishing touches. So as I said in the beginning, I'm going to take the contrast magenta and just put a dot on these kind of switch button on the chest, And for this guy, who's the squad leader, we will again do his chest as well. And because if you've ever watched Clone Wars cartoon, you will know that squad leaders had yellow heads, so we're going to take contrast Imperial Fist and just give him a quick once over on his head, avoiding the eyes. Because of the colour below, this won't be as bright and vibrant as it could be, but it will make your squad leader droid stand out on the battlefield. It doesn't take too long to just go across his head, remembering that it stops roughly here. It doesn't go into those weird dreadlock bits that for some reason B1 Battledroids have. So there we go. That is how I paint B1 Battledroids super fast. I would say without a shadow of a doubt that, ignoring paint drying times, it would only took around 90 minutes to paint all this lot. The only thing that remains to be done is to base them, and I will be basing them in a similar manner to this, which is essentially just Martian iron earth with a dry brush on and the occasional tuft just to pick them up. So what tips can I give you to the end of this? The first thing I will say is, when you're looking at these blank weapons and you come into these tight fiddly areas under here and what have you, if I can't get a brush in very easily, you probably can't see it on a gaming table, and that's what these guys are for. These are gaming standard. These are not designed or painted to win any tournaments. But with that being in mind, I think that they'll look quite good on a battlefield as they are. Well, once they've been based. And there you go. One squad, B1 Battledroids, 90 minutes, start to finish, bish bosh, away we go. I've been Waylander, you've been fantastic. Thank you for staying to the end. Come back soon. I love your faces, and goodbye.